अजीज दोस्तों नमस्कार। अजीज दोस्तों, लंदन ब्रिटिश पार्लियामेंट में मंगल वाले दिन एक कॉन्फ्रेंस हुई है जो यूनाइटेड कश्मीर पीपल्स नेशनल पार्टी के चेयरमैन जनाब शौकत अली कश्मीरी साहब ने करवाई थी। होस्ट एमपी लेबर पार्टी के रिचर्ड बर्गन थे और इसके अलावा भी काफ़ी एमपीज थे, दो मुस्लिम एमपीज थे। इसके अलावा हाउस ऑफ लॉर्ड की एक लेडी थी और कश्मीरी डायस्पोरा से 100-150 कम अज़ कम लोग थे और बहुत ही बड़ी कॉन्फ्रेंस थी। सरदार शौकत अली कश्मीरी साहब को मैं 20-25 साल से जानता हूँ। वो स्विट्ज़रलैंड में रहते हैं और हमेशा उन्होंने ख़ास तौर पे पाकिस्तान ऑक्यूपाइड कश्मीर के हवाले से, ह्यूमन राइट्स वायोलेशंस के हवाले से एक अपना पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू रखा है और वॉइस रेज की है। और आर्टिकल 370 के एब्रोगेशन के बाद उनके एतराज़ात भारत सरकार से भी हो गए हैं और वो क्लियर अल्फाज में उनका मौक़िफ़ है कि कश्मीर की जो डिविजन्स हुई हैं उसको एक यूनाइटेड कश्मीर होना चाहिए। अब कश्मीर की डिविजन्स तो बहुत सारी हो गई ना। चाइना को पाकिस्तान ने भी गिफ्ट की शाहग्राम वैली, अक्साई चीन भारत हार गया था 1962 में। इसके अलावा पाकिस्तान के पास गिलगित बल्तिस्तान जो है वो पाकिस्तान ने कश्मीर से अलग किया हुआ है और उसको एक प्रोविंस का स्टेटस भी दिया हुआ है, वहाँ पे चीफ मिनिस्टर होता है। और पीओके जो है उसको आज़ाद कश्मीर के नाम से बनाया हुआ है, जिसमें एक इस्लामाबाद से अपॉइंटेड पपिट होता है प्राइम मिनिस्टर। और भारत ने अब आर्टिकल 370 के एब्रोगेशन के साथ स्टेटहुड ख़त्म कर दिया और यूनियन टेरिटरी में दो हिस्सों में तकसीम करके लद्दाख और जम्मू एंड कश्मीर की दो यूनियन टेरिटरीज बनाई हैं। अब स्टेटहुड तो वापस नज़र आ रहा है कि हो जाएगा, आज नहीं तो कल, लेकिन स्टेटहुड जम्मू एंड कश्मीर का होगा, लद्दाख तो अलग कर दिया है। देखें, एग्रीड और नॉट एग्रीड, बट हमारे शौकत साहब से हमेशा अच्छे ताल्लुकात रहे हैं। मैं भी उस कॉन्फ्रेंस में शरीक हुआ था और यह है कि कश्मीर मेरा इशू नहीं है, कश्मीर इशू कश्मीरियों का है। और शौकत अली कश्मीरी साहब एक पार्टी के चेयरमैन हैं, कश्मीर के स्टेक होल्डर हैं। तो मैं यह है कि आपके सामने पूरी अनएडिटेड जितनी मैं रिकॉर्ड कर सका उस कॉन्फ्रेंस की स्पीचेस आपके सामने रखता हूँ इस प्रोग्राम में। सारी स्पीचेस 1 बाय 1 में लगाऊंगा, जिसमें सबसे पहले मैं शौकत अली कश्मीरी साहब की स्पीच रखूंगा। जुनैद कुरैशी साहब भी इसमें मौजूद थे। जुनैद कुरैशी साहब एम्स्टर्डम में होते हैं, एक थिंक टैंक के डायरेक्टर हैं और उनका थिंक टैंक साउथ एशिया, सेंट्रल एशिया की पॉलिटिक्स पे प्रोग्राम करता रहता है, जिनीवा में भी और दूसरे यूरोपियन पार्लियामेंट वगैरह में। और जुनैद कुरैशी साहब के वालिद जो हैं वो हाशिम कुरैशी साहब, वो पॉलिटिशियन हैं, जो श्रीनगर में शायद रहते हैं, मतलब जम्मू एंड कश्मीर में रहते हैं। और उनका भी ज़ाहिर है वो भी स्टेक होल्डर है और उनका एक मौक़िफ़ है। करेक्ट नहीं करेक्ट, एज एन आउटसाइडर मुझे कहने का हक नहीं है, लेकिन एज ए ह्यूमन राइट्स एक्टिविस्ट मैं सिर्फ ह्यूमन राइट्स वायोलेशंस की बात करूंगा जो मोर और लेस पाकिस्तान में हो रही हैं, पीओके गिलगित बल्तिस्तान में। भारत में शौकत साहब और जुनैद साहब भी इस पे एग्रीड हैं कि भारत में जो जम्मू एंड कश्मीर है उसमें पाकिस्तान की तरफ से इन्फिल्ट्रेशन बहुत होती है और जो टेररिज्म वहाँ पे पाकिस्तान करता है, जिसकी वजह से कश्मीरियों के ह्यूमन राइट्स वायोलेट होते हैं उधर। और कश्मीर और लद्दाख की डेवलपमेंट और जो वहाँ पे जो डेवलपमेंट वर्क हो रहा है और जो भारत वहाँ पे चीज़ें कर रहा है उसको उन्होंने हमेशा अप्रिशिएट किया है। उनका एतराज़ भारत से सिर्फ आर्टिकल 370 के एब्रोगेशन पे है। अजीज़ दोस्तों, मैं सारे स्पीचेस 1 बाय 1 ये लगा रहा हूँ, आप देखें उनके जो एतराज़ात हैं, जो मौक़िफ़ है, जो PoK के हवाले से, जो जम्मू एंड कश्मीर के हवाले से, वो आपके सामने रखता हूँ। थैंक यू वेरी मच अजीज़ दोस्तों फॉर ऑल योर सपोर्ट. काइंडली कीप सपोर्टिंग.
First of all, I would like to thank you, Mr. Richard Burger, who actually facilitated us and helped us to organize this important conference. Here, our people, our party members, and all the comrades is here, because we expect from the European Parliament, we expect from the British Parliament to listen us carefully and not repeat those words which actually doesn't mean. But we need your full support to understand our issue. I thank you all of you to contribute and show the solidarity with the divided state of Jammu Kashmir, which is under Pakistan, which is under India, and some portion is also under China. And because I have the written statement, but due to the paucity of time, I would not like to read whole text. But first, I just say that our motherland, the state of Jammu Kashmir, was divided forcibly. Pakistan was invaded, sent private militia, military troops, and whereas we have one standstill agreement with the Pakistan, but Pakistan violated that. Some of the people focus only on Srinagar, but what we, the people who live in Britain or elsewhere, who are living in forced exile, nobody is ready to listen, because the politics actually force them to say something which is not translated over miseries, over issues. We are facing human rights violations. We are subjugated over all the resources plundered by the occupiers, and they did not allow us to freely move one part to other part. And it is the government of Pakistan, government of India, both are signatory to the UN resolutions, 13th August 1948, and that resolution forced to both the governments first to protect the life, liberty and property of the Kashmiris. And then asked Pakistan, because it was Pakistan who invaded, so asked Pakistan to withdraw its all troops and all those people who enter in Kashmir for the purpose of fighting and religiously motivated. They did not know what the Kashmiri history or culture. And still, 76 years, we are facing proxy war. We are facing proxy politics. And Pakistan sent many religiously motivated terrorist groups, and India also playing a proxy politics, created some of the proxy candidates, proxy political parties, in the name of political parties, but those political parties is not able to enhance or recognize the miseries of the Kashmiri. But it is the Great Britain at that time, or the Great Britain intervention and some of the local British officers who they have the findings that who enter in Kashmir for the purpose to forcibly annex it. But unfortunately, we are hoping that British government and authorities will intervene forcefully, and also asking both the governments to comply the UN resolution. First, it was the Pakistan who should comply the resolutions, because that resolution, UN resolution asked Pakistan to withdraw its troops, and under the supervision of United Nations, that portion which is occupied by Pakistan, the people's human rights, democratic rights should be respected under the supervision. But still 76 years, Pakistan is not complied that resolution. And unfortunately, there are many political leaders, international politicians, they were not bothered to read that resolution, but that resolution examines the role of India in Pakistan. They are just saying it is very much international issue. But how many governments even subscribe those resolutions and ask both the government to act to comply with these resolutions? But there is some of the warmongering people who force, who subjugate us, and now one of the ordinance, like in Pakistan, rule this area through one act that is called Act 1974, and that act did not allow me to take part in the elections until and unless I will not sign the loyalty with the Pakistan. Whereas according to the Pakistan, it is a contradiction that Pakistani constitution did not recognize that Kashmir is officially part and parcel of the Pakistan. But and whenever we are demanding, then they are saying you belong to the disputed territory. But when we demand that this is our right and that right should be ensured, then they are saying, no, we are not responsible. And over all the institutions supervised and headed by the four powerful land officers. In 21st century, we are ruled by four powerful land officers, and in 2007, European Parliament passed a resolution, that resolution called Haman-Nicholson report. And 27 countries asked both India, Pakistan and China, you cannot unilaterally annex any part of Kashmir. But in 5th August 2019, India unilaterally decided and show the majoritarianism and divide furtherly over motherland into two parts. One is Ladakh separately from the rest of the state of Jammu Kashmir, and over historical nations and state is now called its union territory. Whereas over the UN resolution did not allow India to change the demography or any act which is harmful for the Kashmiris. And now it is the elected member of the state of Jammu Kashmir members passed a resolution and asked India to honor our statehood, restore statehood, and the special status should be restored, and abrogate all those draconian law which was passed by the Indian Parliament. But India is not ready to comply the elected member of the J&K under Indian administration. And under the Pakistan, our legislator have no any say. If anybody who try to address our immediate issue, then the intelligence agencies enter in their forces and kept them away, and even hundreds and thousands of people all over the Pakistan is facing enforced disappearances, whether it's Baloch, whether it's Sindhis, or this. In Pakistan, people are struggling for the democracy, and you people can imagine under that country our rights, how much protected or what kind of rights we are enjoying. So this is very delicate situation, because now through the ordinance, one presidential ordinance, our freedom of expression is compromised, our freedom of association is compromised, And even then, we cannot hold a protest or rally or seminar in that territory which is known as Azad Kashmir. So we hope that British parliamentarians, politicians, and especially the Labour Party members and the government should intervene and put pressure on Pakistan to repeal such kind of a draconian law, which ask Pakistan to ensure our basic rights, our economical rights, and our natural resources should be protected, not plundering. I think I take too much time. Sorry for.
Thank you very much.
Our constituency, not only to work within Parliament, but work across the different communities that I represent in Peribar. And we have a diverse community. People that originate from India. And I've been speaking to quite a number of friends that work historically with me within my profession. And their views align with my views, and that is justice, equality, human rights. And it's shocking to see the sort of support you get within different communities when it comes to those types of issues. And unfortunately, what we see in the modern day, topics that come to the top of the agenda are those that grab the headlines. And so, whilst I've always said that the atrocities faced by men, women and children in Kashmir, and especially we've seen how militarized that zone is in India-occupied Kashmir. The atrocities they face are probably no worse than the atrocities faced by, let's say, the Palestinians, except for the additional bombardment they get. But in terms of rape, torture, the political prisoners, all of that is almost, you can draw a parallel between what's happening there and in the Middle East and in other countries. And so I think it's an obligation, a moral obligation, a legal obligation for British parliamentarians to advocate when we see breaches of human rights, when we see the United Nations Security Council resolutions not being abided by. I mean, in Britain, we hold that mantle. We hold the mantle of a nation that is very strict when it comes to breaches of law. And we're a beacon of light for other nations. And that's why it's so important when we look at the recent issues around the arrest warrants, for example, and colleagues that sat here, Richard in particular, very vocal about the fact that international courts must be respected. And this is a judicial process. Parliamentarians and politicians across the world should not be interfering with an independent, impartial judiciary. And whatever they determine should be implemented. It shouldn't be a matter of what is our economic tie with any particular nation. What are the ramifications for following international law? It should be a principled approach. Once a court of the United Nations Security Council pass a resolution, which are binding, they should be followed. That's how we maintain integrity. And so I once again thank Richard for sponsoring this meeting, but be rest assured that as parliamentarians we will do whatever we can, both here in Parliament, in the House of Lords, but also within our communities, because we need to keep this topic live until the people of Kashmir have that basic right that we all take for granted.
I missed that phone of East as well, sorry.
Good evening, Assalamu alaikum, and thank you to my honourable friend Richard for sponsoring and organising this really important meeting. I welcome all the respected guests, lords, my honourable friends, and the people listening. In my 4 months as a parliamentarian, so my family roots are from India, in Gujarat. And I have many constituents and friends from Kashmir, in Dewsbury and Backley. But I wasn't as fully informed about the real depth of injustices that were occurring in occupied Jammu and Kashmir. And in these 4 months, I'm trying to become more informed on the topic and to lend my support to achieving
Thank you very much. Thank you to all people for coming. Special thanks to Mr. Richard Bergen for organizing this, and of course, my heartiest congratulations to the UK PNP for holding a very important conference on this very important issue. When we ask the UN or the UK, and now we are sitting in the UK Parliament, I think there are limitations to what intervention can be done. But the greatest tool Western countries have is, of course, the economy, it's trade. And that is a path which countries in the West can use to pressurize other countries to follow the rule of law, follow international law. But in order to do that, the first thing countries in the West, especially the UK, should start to recognize is study the problem which is at hand. Whenever the issue of Jammu and Kashmir is taken up in the UK, there is a tendency to conflate India and Pakistan and talk about Jammu and Kashmir as if both India and Pakistan are standing on the same pedestal. It's very important to understand that while India has its fair share of mishandling and mismanaging Kashmir, in terms of legality, in terms of international law and rule of law, there is a difference between India vis-a-vis the state of Jammu and Kashmir and Pakistan vis-a-vis the state of Jammu and Kashmir. India came on an invitation to Jammu and Kashmir, and while Pakistan came to Jammu and Kashmir as an aggressor and as an occupier. Now, it is very unfortunate. Today is the 26th of November, and I think you all remember, because whenever the issue of Kashmir is talked about, everyone seems to know what is good for Kashmir, except for asking the Kashmiri people. And on this day, 16 years ago, in our name, in the name of Kashmiris, as you might remember, there was a horrific attack in Mumbai where more than 160 people died, and the attack was carried out by terrorists in the name of Kashmiris, in the name of Jammu and Kashmir. And I'm here to say that these attacks were not done by us. These attacks were not done by Kashmiris. These attacks were done by sponsored terrorists living in Pakistan, in Lahore, in Islamabad, in the name of Kashmir. And I think UK PNP and all Kashmiris sitting here subscribe to this fact that our struggle for the reunification of Jammu and Kashmir has been and will always be peaceful and non-violent, which the Kashmiris have again shown recently in the elections which were held in Jammu and Kashmir administered by India. They chose their representatives. They have rejected the steps taken by the central government of India, which stripped Kashmir of its special status. The Kashmiris did not pick up the gun, nor did they do it in the 90s, nor this time, to show their resentment or their political differences. They did it by vote, by ballot, and not by bullet. And the same, I think, what the UK could do here for example, a small example which I would give, on the list of countries who receive donations from the UK, Pakistan is number 2. It is and I'm not saying you should not give donations to Pakistan. I think Pakistan's economy is in a mess, but at least there should be transparency and follow-up from the UK to see where that money is going. You should investigate whether your money is really being used for the purposes that is being given, or whether it's used to indoctrinate, radicalize, and strip people of their human rights. At least transparency in that regard from the UK government is very, very necessary. So I hope that this gathering will inform and give you an informed opinion about how the historical issues, stands of Kashmir, like Mr. Shaukat Ali Kashmiri said, the UN resolutions are, when you read the UN resolutions, you should take a very holistic approach. The UN resolutions are in 3 parts. There are truce agreements to it, and the UN resolution has subsequential steps to it. And the first step of this truce agreement is that Pakistan should withdraw all its forces from the territory of Jammu and Kashmir. So all those Pakistanis and all other people who cry loud and hue about a referendum in Jammu and Kashmir should actually be talking to the government of Pakistan, because that referendum can only be implemented once those forces have been withdrawn. So I hope this gathering and many more which come give you a more holistic understanding of the issue, and my request would be to look into your biggest tool is your economy. You're one of the biggest economies in the world. You're one of the biggest donators in the world to poor countries, to Asian countries, and that is where you can ensure through transparency whether those countries follow the rule of law, follow international law, and follow the respect for human rights. Thank you.
And you have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Nasrin sir. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Arif, and thank you, United Kashmir People's National Party, for organizing the August seminar. And special thank you to honorable members of the British Parliament for hosting us. Today's topic of this third International Kashmir Conference is reunification of the historical state of Jammu and Kashmir and the rights of self-determination. Plenty of things is already said. I will not take much time. I will try to be just concise. Just 2 points I want to highlight. And first of all, I will talk about the self-determination. The territory of Kashmir is divided between India, Pakistan, and China. The almost 16 million people of Kashmir who share a common heritage and culture over the centuries are now trapped between the de facto borders. The UN Security Council resolutions urge the 2 countries to hold a plebiscite to determine the people's will, but these resolutions have still not been observed. The people of Jammu and Kashmir under unrepresentative governments are suffering from human rights violation, political instability, economic deprivation, marginalization, and alienation. Internationally, all of these factors are important pointers for self-determination. It became clear that Kashmiri people emerged as oppressed people, divided within the de facto borders and suffering human rights violation. This is a very important point I want to highlight, or you can say that I want to give an example. in terms of self-determination, how the international community looked toward it. I want to give an example of the Kosovo. The debate over the right to self-determination, particularly outside the decolonization, has been received with little or no interest by the international community. The concept of independence through succession is seen as a bad recipe and an assault on the territorial integrity of the states. Therefore, it is not accepted. For this reason, Kosovo's declaration of unilateral independence left the European Union split in whether they should recognize Kosovo. It sent shock waves across the world, especially to countries such as Cyprus, Greece, Romania, Bulgaria, Slovakia, Russia, India, and China, who expressed anxiety about the signal that Kosovo recognition might send to the separatists in their countries. For this reason, the fundamental right of self-determination remains controversial internationally. The second point which I want to highlight, I will just say the few things, already have said many. Why the reunification of the former princely state of Jammu and Kashmir is important. Why it is essential. I think the very basic answer every Kashmiri wants to say or ensure to the world community is that because of reunification of Jammu and Kashmir can play a significant role, particularly in regional and international politics. But how it could play a more prominent role, let me explain it, by creating a buffer zone. Jammu and Kashmir is geographically laying between three rivals and potentially hostile great powers. Its existence can prevent conflict between them. This is one of the main reasons, that's why you can say that we are advocating for that. And the second main reason is say that both India and Pakistan have become majoritarian states and radical right-wingers are in power. In such a situation, an independent secular Jammu and Kashmir are the dire need of this hour. Its unification as a secular state representing the guarantee the region's long-term peace and harmony. And it is one of the oldest trade routes of the world and can become a financial hub. Jammu and Kashmir, which have abundant water resources, have the potential to generate enough hydroelectric power to meet all of their power needs while also meeting the needs of their neighboring countries. However, this vital economic resources has not been utilized entirely due to various political and economic factors. In the end, I would like to remind the international establishment, especially the British government, to support the peaceful political struggle of the people of Jammu and Kashmir and play the role of mediator and make a precedent in the world in this regard. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Richard Vargan, arranging this meeting. Thanks very much. Please speak up for Kashmir to end up a human rights violation and support reunification of the forcibly divided state of Jammu Kashmir. Actively support all effort by Kashmiris living in the UK to highlight this issue and encourage the Parliament of all member nation to try and bring diplomatic pressure on the government of occupying countries Pakistan, India and China to withdraw their armed forces and proxies from all the region of Jammu Kashmir and allow Kashmiris to exercise their right of self-determination, to reunify the state and choose democratic system governance within independent state of Jammu Kashmir. At present, Pakistan and India have unleashed atrocities on the entire princely state of Jammu Kashmir. Pakistani terrorists threaten to kill Kashmiris, those who talk about secular independence of Jammu and Kashmir. We need your help right now. Become our voice inside the parliament. Our country fellow, name is Zubair Bhatti, wanted to go to his home in Indian administrated Jammu Kashmir. He was not allowed to go. He has been locked in jail in Pakistani administrated Jammu Kashmir. If the world remains silent, the Pakistan and India will destroy our state Jammu Kashmir. We hope that the members of parliament will hear our voice and hope that the princely state of Jammu Kashmir will be saved from the oppressions of Pakistan and India. Thank you.
Presents the resolution of this today's conference. Hope it will be accepted as drafted. The conference emphasizes the urgent need for the reunification of the erstwhile state of Jammu and Kashmir. As a critical step towards achieving sustainable peace and stability in the South Asia, reunification is seen as essential for the fostering mutual understanding, reducing hostilities and promoting constructive dialogue between the India and Pakistan. The restoration of the region's territorial integrity is urged as a catalyst for long-term peace building and regional cooperation. The second, the point of the resolution is guaranteeing fundamental freedom in Pakistani administered Kashmir, Azad Jammu and Kashmir. The conference calls upon the government of Pakistan and authorities in Azad Jammu and Kashmir to ensure the protection of fundamental freedom, including freedom of expression, assembly, and speech in accordance with international human rights standards. Acknowledgement of Jammu and Kashmir State Assembly resolution on special status. This conference acknowledges the significance of a recent resolution passed by the Jammu and Kashmir State Assembly advocating for the restoration special status and statehood. It recalls India's entry into the state of Jammu and Kashmir under the Treaty of Accession in 1947, which places the responsibility on India to ensure the reunification of region and the protection of Kashmiris' life, liberties, and properties. The conference calls upon India to honor its commitment and pledges made to the people of Jammu and Kashmir, the restoration of statehood, including that the Ladakh and the reinstatement of special status are deemed vital for addressing the grievances and aspirations of the Kashmiri people, while ensuring justice, peace, and democratic principles. Number 4, ensuring equal political participation in Azad Jammu and Kashmir. The conference emphasizes serious concerns over the exclusion of pro-Kashmir political parties, including the United Kashmir People's National Party, from registering with the Election Commission in Azad Jammu and Kashmir. It strongly condemns coercive measures that force political parties and individuals to pledge allegiance to Pakistan, undermining democratic principles and fundamental freedoms. The conference calls upon Pakistan to repeal the discriminatory laws that obstruct the registration and participation of peaceful democratic parties. It urges the establishment of the transparent and inclusive electoral process that allows all political entities and individuals to participate freely without pre-screening or coercion, thereby ensuring political pluralism and democratic integrity. Number 5, addressing proxy war and human rights violations in Jammu and Kashmir. The conference condemns the use proxy wars and proxy politics in Jammu and Kashmir as a theater for which have caused suffering to its people. The conference further urges Pakistan to cease proxy warfare and political interference and calls on India to refrain from proxy politics that undermines democratic norms, secular and democratic parties in Jammu and Kashmir. It calls for the immediate dismantling of terrorist infrastructure in Azad Jammu and Kashmir and the operations by banned outfits in the region. It emphasizes that the protection of life, liberty, and property in the fundamental responsibility of all states. Widespread human rights violations, including those perpetrated by extremist groups and excessive use of force by security agencies, must end immediately. This conference emphasizes the importance of India and Pakistan prioritizing the protection of human rights, adhering to international human rights standards, and ensuring accountability for all violations in order to promote peace and justice in Jammu and Kashmir. Finally, we demand the immediate and unconditional release of Ali Shamrez, the president of UK NSO in the part of Azad Jammu and Kashmir under Pakistan administration, and the arrest of Rashid Ali was held in Muzaffarabad by oppressor police on 23rd of November 2024. Hope the resolution draft has been accepted unilaterally. Thank you.
Good evening, honorable members of parliament, respected guests, and esteemed leaders. Thank you for spending your valuable time to be here. It is an honor to address such a distinguished audience. A special thanks to the party chairman, Mr. Shaukat Ali Kashmiri, Senior Vice Chairman, Ms. Faria Atiq, Mr. Nasir Aziz, and all the attendees. Today, I want to shed light on the critical situation in Pakistani occupied Kashmir. As you all know, our party has always had a clear stance on the Kashmir issue, and my fellow leaders will provide detailed insight into it. The situation in Pakistani occupied Kashmir has become increasingly dire. No one is safe. Children, the elderly women, men, all suffer under the oppression enforced by Pakistan's facilitators. When I visited England 6 months ago, I shared what I had witnessed firsthand, highlighting the urgent need for a solution based on humanity and justice. The root cause of the suffering is Pakistan's exploitative occupation. This has created a system of injustice, inequality, and marginalization, trapping Kashmiris in a circle of political, social, and economic discrimination, despite what global constitution and law promise: equality, justice, and basic human rights. The reality in our region is starkly different. Our people face fair exploitation, class division, and systematic subjugation. The elite class and their facilitators in Pakistan control every aspect of life in Kashmir. A low-ranking Pakistani military officer wields more power than our ministers. Orders from GCO money dictate the lives of millions in our region. This system prioritizes the personal interests of a few at the expense of the common people. The result: unrest, poverty, ignorance, and hopelessness. The division between the weak and the powerful deepens every day, creating the breeding ground for extremism, terrorism, and inequality. We, the people of Kashmir, want change. We want a system that upholds basic human rights and prioritizes peace, education, health, and justice. We are against brutality and discrimination. We believe in equality between men and women. It is my dream to see a society where everyone has equal opportunities and the rights of the most vulnerable are protected. Foreign exploitation of our resources, corruption in mega projects, the neglect of minorities, women, workers, and farmers must end. The growing gap between the state government and the people need to be bridged. We need a political platform where young people can speak freely, discuss real issues, and work towards a just society. I appeal to you to support us in this struggle. As a representative of an oppressed nation, I hope you understand the gravity of the situation. The British government, given its historical involvement in Kashmir, is uniquely positioned to help. Thank you for your patience and for taking the time to listen to my words. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you, Richard. Thank you to Shukar Ali Kashmiri, Tariq, to Nasir, to all my friends assembled here this evening, to all of you for coming to the House of Commons into this Grand Committee Room 10. I'm sorry I'm late. I've just been at a meeting to discuss the violence against women in Colombia, a very important issue as well. It's in many ways very sad that we're here once more, having made little progress in the struggle for Kashmiri self-determination. I've been an MP now for 27 years, since 1997. I'm one of the few veterans left from the Tony Blair landslide of that year. And here we are, all these years on, and yet we still do not have self-determination for the people of Kashmir. Now, you'll forgive me for not having prepared any words in advance. So what I'm saying is from the heart. Because, my friends, your panel here, the people on this top table, have worked tirelessly for decades, for years, to bring the cause of Kashmir to the people of this country and our Parliament here in Westminster. And they deserve your support and the applause that I hope we're going to give them. So often a struggle for self-determination is about leadership. And I think you've got some brilliant leaders. Forgive me one small thought though. We need more women. Because humanity is made up of men and women. We're all human and we depend on one another. We need more women to take up this fight too. I hope you don't think that's a criticism. But where I've just been listening to the Colombians, women there are really taking the fight forward for their self-determination. And it's a lesson maybe that we can learn for the future of Kashmir. Because if we march together with one single voice, which is that we, the people of Kashmir, deserve to decide our own future for ourselves, then we will win. And I say we. Clearly I'm not a Kashmiri, but in this room with you, Richard and I hope I speak for you, Richard, we are Kashmiri. And your struggle is our struggle too. Because until all the peoples of our planet, all of human societies are free to decide what they want for their future, for their lives, their families, for their men and their women, then nobody's free. And we are living in a time of huge churn, of struggles that are going on for the very lives of the people that are being oppressed, whether it's in the Middle East, whether it's in Myanmar, whether it's in Africa and Sudan, whether it's in Yemen. All of those people need our support. And in return, we expect their support for the struggle of a free, independent Kashmir. And that's why I don't think we can separate the struggles. And that's why all of you are in this room today, because you believe in the cause that you're fighting for. And we do too as Parliament. I don't know how many more of our colleagues are going to be here today, Richard. I'm sorry I was late, but I'm sure there will be many coming before the end, and there have been already some with us. I'm certain of that. And that shows that what you're fighting for is a fight that is supported by so many of the new and the existing and the older MPs like me, because we are together in this. We now have a government that I hope will be listening to what we are asking for, which is the right to determine our future for ourselves. We can't say that enough. So let's move forward from here. Let's make sure that our campaign is united. It is one struggle for self-determination, for freedom, for democracy, for peace, for justice. Let's do that together, and if we do it successfully, we cannot fail. And I thank you all for being here.
Thank you so much, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, UKBNP, for inviting me. Even I'm not a member of UKBNP, but I'm a human rights activist and Kashmiri as well. And anywhere there will be a Kashmir, then we will be there as a primary stakeholder. I'm sorry if I take more than 3 to 4 minutes, because the people who live in Pakistani administrative Kashmir, who got very less opportunities to talk from their heart on the a platform like this, where international community and the people from the UK Parliament are actually listening what we are going through in AJK. So I'm in the political activist and human rights activist from last 7 years, and from last 6 to 7 years, what we are going through, I will tell you that how we are going to go through with this. From 3 to 4 years after 2019, when India took a big step, and after the abrogation of 370 and the unrest of AJK, then the civic movement and all the civic activities in AJK became restricted. And the civic movements, and which we are facing from last 3-4 years, that how the youth is involved in this and how uncertain it is. We are aware that there is a big Kashmir issue between India, Pakistan and China, but how we can make the society peaceful within conflict. So in Pakistan administrative Kashmir and Azad Kashmir, there is a very less opportunities for the employment and the infrastructure and the education and the health and everything. And above all, now the new thing which AJK government has been started, that we cannot speak. The restriction on the free speech and the free peaceful protest which we faced, actually, I personally faced the shelling, stoning, tear gas in all our protests in last 3-4 years. So our voices are voiceless. Only the people who are actually in UK or the abroad or overseas community is actually our voice. Because 70% of AJK is on LOC, and LOC, there is no communication on LOCs, that there is no phone, no internet. So if there are no phone, no internet and no communication, then how we can speak and how we can actually, how we can raise our voice and how we can make sure that our voice is actually heard somewhere. So I will request all the people who are actually sitting outside, become a voice of us, like you did today. So the British government and the representatives are here. So when India actually sent the troops in Kashmir, they promised, they actually informed the British government and promised that they are going to the UN and they will protect the right of self-determination. So I want to request the British parliamentarian who are here that tell your government that ask India and Pakistan that what about their promise which they made in 1947. So because India and Pakistan both promised British government at that time that they are going to have the right of self-determination. So where is our self-determination from last 70 to 75 years? So how this long-lasting issue will be going on? How many years we will be suffering like this? We are not Pakistani, we are not Indian, we are not independent, we are nowhere. We are here. We are on this planet, but we have no identity. So the identity crisis we are facing, that I am here, I am not, as per Pakistani constitution, I am not a Pakistani. But when I came here, I tell everyone that I am Pakistani. But Pakistan says I am not Pakistani. So the long-lasting identity issues, the worst violent human rights issues, and the oppression and the recent presidential ordinance which is actually restricted us to speak or peaceful protest must be condemned on every level. And my request to the overseas communities to raise the voice on every platform to make this abrogate. Thank you so much.